Shadows and Starlight, Episode 6, Shadows, Magic, and the Weight of Fate. The city never sleeps, and neither do the stories waiting in the shadows.
You could just say, "Welcome to Shadows and Starlight."
Where's the fun in that? Anyway, welcome to Shadows and Starlight, the podcast where we explore books that blur the line between light and darkness, magic and mystery, reality and the unknown.
Chris Ross put us in charge, so we're here to take you through this week's lineup of must-read books. We'll be switching off as we discuss each one, bringing you the kind of stories that keep you turning pages long past midnight.
So settle in, watch the shadows, and let's begin. Flash Flood by Melissa Gunn. Let's talk about irony for a second. Imagine being a demi-goddess with a water affinity. Sounds cool, right? Now imagine you live in England, where it rains constantly. Still fine? Now add a rain allergy into the mix. Yeah, not so great. That's exactly the problem Tammy faces in Flash Flood by Melissa Gunn. She's just trying to get through life without sneezing her way into oblivion when she stumbles across a flash flood. And a teenage werewolf. Because, one life complication clearly wasn't enough. This short story serves as the gateway into the Weather God series, but even on its own, it's got everything you want. Myth, magic, and fate throwing curveballs left and right. So, if you like your fantasy with unexpected twists and just a little bit of cosmic humour, this one's for you.
Lost Ember of Azrith, Rise Against the Empire series by Rowan Ashborne. Betrayal, war, ancient power rising sounds like my kind of story. In Lost Ember of Azrith by Rowan Ashborne, the Empire plays its favourite game, lies, manipulation, and total control. But not everyone is willing to kneel. Kaelin, a half-dragon warrior, has spent his life in the shadows, hiding his deadly heritage. Elyra, an elf princess turned rebel, fights from within, risking everything to bring the Empire to its knees. When fate throws them together in a brutal tournament, they start as rivals but leave as allies. And really, that's where the fun begins. As the Empire tightens its grip, Kaelin struggles to control the fire in his veins, while Elyra rallies her people for one final stand. Ancient forces stir, and the war for freedom ignites. The question is, will they rise against the Empire, or will the flames consume them? If you like rebellion, high-stakes battles, and the kind of tension that only comes from teaming up with someone who could just as easily be your greatest enemy, this one belongs on your shelf.
Exceptional by MJ Fabula. You ever wish for something so hard, only to realise maybe, just maybe, it wasn't the best idea? That's exactly what happens to 16-year-old Jessica Summer in Exceptional by MJ Fabula. After losing her best friend in a school shooting, she makes a wish, one desperate plea to the universe for superheroes to be real, and the universe listens. The next day, Jessica wakes up with superhuman abilities, and so does the rest of the world. But superpowers don't come with a guidebook, and reality isn't as simple as the comics make it look. Society isn't exactly thrilled about its new extraordinary residents, and to make things worse, the very person behind the shooting now has powers of his own, and he's using them to set the world on fire. Blending emotional depth with high-stakes action, Exceptional throws readers into a world where heroism isn't just about power, it's about choice. If you love superhero stories with heart, tension, and a little bit of X-Men meets Kim Possible energy, this one's got your name on it.
A Wonderful Day for a Quest by Michael D. Young. Prophecies. So vague, so dramatic, and so often missing key details like, say, who the actual hero is supposed to be. That's the predicament in A Wonderful Day for a Quest by Michael D. Young. The wizard Jackdaw deciphers the legendary uppercase prophecy, because apparently lowercase ones aren't important, and learns that the kingdom's fate depends on someone. Who exactly? That part's missing. But it's either a gallant knight or a sub-assistant goat herd with a suspiciously similar name. Naturally, both of them have to go on a quest to uncover the truth, facing riddles, a tiny dark lord with oversized ambitions, and the dire threat of a kingdom running out of magic beans. Yes, beans. Because apparently, without them, everything, including magic and legendary burritos, falls apart. Joining them on this highly serious and definitely not ridiculous adventure are a washed-up wizard, an undistressed damsel, and an evil sidekick who never quite made the cut. If you enjoy quests that refuse to take themselves too seriously, a cast of characters who seem just as confused as the prophecy itself, and a touch of musical theater energy, this one's for you.
On Being Jen, a short what-if story by S.R. Mallery. You ever look at someone and think, yeah, they've got it all figured out? Perfect life, perfect looks, perfect everything. That's exactly what Susan believes in. On Being Jen by S.R. Mallery. She's smart enough to land a full scholarship to a prestigious college, but none of that seems to matter when she compares herself to Jen, the girl who appears to have everything. But here's the thing, perfection is just a well-polished illusion. And when reality takes an unexpected turn, Susan learns that what she thought she wanted might not be what she wants at all. This what-if story is a quick but thought-provoking read that challenges the idea of envy and perspective. Because sometimes the life you think is perfect, it's not.
Lila and the Dark, Book 1, by Chris Ross. Some choices change everything, some moments linger long after they've passed, and some nights refuse to end. Before the events of City and Shadows, before Lila fully stepped into the world of shadows, there was hesitation, doubt, questions she wasn't ready to answer, about me, about the night, about herself. And on the eve of her transformation, we had one final conversation that changed everything. In this exclusive prequel to City and Shadows, uncover a moment never revealed before, the last flicker of uncertainty before Lila embraced the dark, the weight of my unspoken past, and the unseen forces watching from the edges of the night, because even as the past comes into focus, a new mystery is already unfolding. The night has secrets yet to tell, and Lila and the Dark is just the beginning.
A Force of Nature, Spirit Seeker series by Janna Ruth. Some wars are fought with swords and soldiers, others with forces far older and far more unpredictable. In A Force of Nature by Janna Ruth, nature itself is the enemy. Spirits have ravaged the world for centuries, unleashing disasters that leave destruction in their wake. Most people can't see them, but Rika can, and after 8 years surviving on the streets, she's learned how to keep the peace with them. Most of the time. That peace shatters when the Earl King, a storm spirit with devastating power, attacks Berlin. Suddenly, Rika is dragged into a war she never asked for, recruited by the Spirit Seekers, an elite group tasked with defending cities from nature's fury. But with their commander gone and the Earl King hunting her, Rika is forced to make an impossible choice: stand with the spirits she's always understood, or fight against them to save the city. This is a story of survival, power, and a war waged against the forces that shape the world itself. If you're looking for an urban fantasy where nature isn't just a backdrop, it's the battlefield, then A Force of Nature is calling your name.
Alice in Vampireland by Theophilus Monroe. When you spend over a century fighting for a cause, what happens when you realize you were on the wrong side? Alice has spent more than 130 years as a Nightwalker for the Order of the Morning Dawn, a so-called religious organization with one goal: eliminate vampires and witches. But their methods? Let's just say they were far from righteous. Now Alice has left the Order behind, and she's on a mission to bring them down. But taking on an organization like the Order isn't something she can do alone. To do it, she'll have to prove herself to the Vampire Council, the same council she spent decades hunting. And proving herself, that means one thing: traveling to Romania to recruit the old world vampires, the ones who make even the most ruthless nightwalkers seem tame. What follows is a journey through an underground world of secrets, magic, and creatures most would rather avoid. Inspired by Alice in Wonderland, this dark reimagining blends fairy tale elements with an urban fantasy edge. If you like vampires with depth, shifting alliances, and a heroine caught between the world she knew and the one she now fights for, Alice in Vampireland is waiting.
Balance of Shadows by Cassie Carter. For centuries, the world has obeyed one simple rule: light and shadow do not mix. But what if that was never how it was meant to be? In Balance of Shadows by Cassie Carter, the world is built on division. Those born with light energy thrive in the sun, while those bound to shadow remain hidden in darkness. Laws have been written, traditions upheld, all in the name of balance. But balance built on deception is nothing more than a fragile illusion. When an ancient truth resurfaces, it reveals a dangerous secret. Light and shadow were never meant to be separate, and once that knowledge is out, there's no going back. As forbidden magic awakens and rebellion brews, two lives collide at the center of it all, and when the truth threatens to unravel everything, they'll have to decide whether to protect the world as it is, or set fire to the lies holding it together. If you love stories of star-crossed power, forbidden knowledge, and the fight to change a world built on secrets, Balance of Shadows is waiting for you.
Witch in the City by Heavey. You'd think after dealing with dark fae, rogue gods, and a literal demon army, Rosaleen O'Connor would have earned a break. But no, because apparently, even a simple holiday can turn into a full-scale supernatural disaster. In Witch in the City by Heavey, Rosaleen and her friend Bridget head to London for a well-deserved visit with her daughter Molly. A little sightseeing, some much-needed downtime. Sounds simple enough, right? Wrong. Because the Morrigan, yes, that Morrigan, the goddess of death and destruction, has also decided London is the perfect destination. And her itinerary? Kidnapping Molly. What follows is a whirlwind chase through London's most iconic landmarks as Rosaleen fights to save her daughter, while the Morrigan does her best to ensure she doesn't. But Rosaleen isn't facing this battle alone, especially when her best friend Sienna brings in an unexpected royal ally to even the odds. If you love high-stakes magic, powerful women who refuse to back down, and a little chaos in the heart of a modern city, Witch in the City is a spellbinding ride you won't want to miss.
Beyond the Blood Veil by Woode-Smith. Hunting down a trafficking ring is hard enough when the world thinks you're chasing ghosts, but when you wake up as a creature of the night, well, that's a whole new level of complicated. In Beyond the Blood Veil by Woode-Smith, Kaylee Black has spent the last decade trying to expose a crime syndicate no one else believes exists. But after one fateful encounter, she's no longer just a detective, she's a vampire. And while that might give her an edge, it also makes her a target. Between dodging enforcers who won't hesitate to stake her if she steps out of line, hunting down the truth about her mysterious sire, and dealing with a talking, shape-shifting cat who's way too obsessed with Taylor Swift, Kaylee has more on her plate than ever. And the deeper she digs, the darker the truth becomes. Fast-paced, sharp-witted, and full of bite, Beyond the Blood Veil is the perfect read for anyone who loves their urban fantasy with a side of danger, secrets, and just the right amount of snark.
Curse of the Blessed by Wren Blake. Attending school shouldn't be a death sentence unless, of course, you're a mind reader, at a school that trains people to hunt mind readers. In Curse of the Blessed by Wren Blake, Theo has one job: stay undercover at Hunter Academy long enough to read the minds of high-priority targets. Simple enough, right? Not exactly. Because this academy, it exists for one reason: to train young hunters to eliminate people with abilities like his. Then there's his roommate, who's practically counting the minutes until Theo screws up. And the biggest problem of all? Theo hasn't used his mind-reading ability in years. With everything stacked against him, Survival isn't just about making the grade. It's about making it through day one alive. And if he fails? Well, the Academy doesn't exactly believe in second chances. If you like high-stakes tension, deep secrets, and a protagonist who has everything to lose, Curse of the Blessed is one to watch.
Flashfire Angel by Ren Blake. Some people spend their whole lives wondering if they have what it takes to be a hero. Michelle? She already knows. The only problem, no one else seems to believe it. In Flashfire Angel by Ren Blake, Michelle is new to the Undercity, and she hates everything about it. The way it stifles her, the way no one seems to see her potential. But when she watches the heroes fighting demons in the streets, she knows exactly what she wants to do. There's just one problem. No one wants a fire mage, and they definitely don't want a girl. Rejected but not broken, Michelle takes to the woods beyond the Undercity, where she meets a mysterious boy with secrets of his own. Why is he helping her? And what is he hiding? With demons prowling the streets and flames that refuse to be tamed, Michelle must learn to fight. Not just to survive, but to prove she belongs. If you love snarky heroes, hidden identities, and the kind of determination that refuses to be extinguished, Flashfire Angel is the perfect place to start.
The Spiral by A.G. Zoderoti. Some journeys take you across distant lands. Others pull you through the fabric of reality itself. In The Spiral by A.G. Zoderoti, Draco is more than a traveler. He is a seeker, drawn eastward by haunting dreams and visions that refuse to be ignored. His path leads him beyond the world as he knows it, into forgotten kingdoms, ancient forces of light and shadow, and encounters with beings that hold the keys to something greater than power, truth. But this isn't just a physical journey, it's a pilgrimage of the soul. Draco must question everything: what is real, what lies beyond the visible, and what it truly means to awaken. As he steps deeper into mystical realms and the heart of creation itself, life, death, and rebirth converge in a transformation beyond anything he imagined. With poetic prose and a meditative rhythm, The Spiral is more than fantasy. It's an invitation, an exploration of the unseen, a call to those who seek something beyond the ordinary. If you've ever questioned the nature of existence or felt the pull of something just beyond reach, this is the journey waiting for you.
The Ascent by A.G. Zoderoti. Some climb for glory, some climb for answers, and some climb because the path was always meant for them. In The Ascent by A.G. Zoderoti, Draco has spent his life within the walls of Mahaleya Monastery, trained in discipline, meditation, and the sacred mysteries of existence. But fate has chosen him for something greater, a challenge that transcends mind, body, and soul. He is one of 9 climbers tasked with ascending the eternal sky mountain, a journey that is more than just a test of strength. It is a trial of spirit. Treacherous terrains push his body to the limit. Illusions twist his perception of reality. And the closer he gets to the summit, the more the mountain reveals truths he may not be ready to face. Because this is not just a climb, it is an awakening, and not everyone reaches the top. Blending spiritual insight with breathtaking adventure, The Ascent is a journey of self-realization, perseverance, and the search for meaning. If you've ever felt the pull of something greater, something just beyond the clouds, then this is the expedition waiting for you. And just like that, another journey through the pages comes to an end. But don't worry, there's always another story waiting in the dark, and this time, there's a lot more where that came from.
We had so many incredible books to feature this week that we had to split the list in 2, because even we have our limits, and trust me, trying to get through everything in one sitting? Yeah, let's just say we got a little winded.
Seriously, I haven't had to catch my breath this much since Lila made me run from that library guardian, which, by the way, was totally her fault.
It was not my fault. Okay, maybe a little, but regardless, this was an absolute blast, and we still have plenty more stories to cover in part 2.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to Shadows and Starlight on Substack to get both the newsletter and podcast delivered straight to you.
And if you want to dive deeper into any of the books we discussed today, you'll find all the links waiting for you in the show notes.
Until next time, keep your lanterns lit, your books closed, and always
watch the shadows.